It's a great song, but I don't know it.
Everybody, welcome. Here we go. It is that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed. And yes, we are live. This is not a best of. We are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. Today is Thursday, May 11, 2023. So yes, it is live. So nice to have you all with me. I'll apologize and explain a little bit about yesterday in a moment, but so we are here. We do not have, it is Thursday. We usually get a call from Easy G on Thursdays to do an entertainment report, but he is under the weather. So JFed in the chat room says, that was quite the best of yesterday. I need to, they're all dated at this point. I need to produce a new batch of best ofs. I mean, we've got over 30 of them, but you burn through them over, because we also not only do we run one if for some reason I'm not able to be here on a given day, but also every Saturday morning we have we should promote that more. Actually, I forgot to mention it, but Saturday mornings, of course, from 7 to 9 a.m. Peter runs a classic episode of the morning show with Peter White. And then from 9 to 11 a.m. we have the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. But they also run during the week if I'm not here for some reason. But I'll offer a quick explanation in a moment. But 603-250-6007 is the studio line if you'd like to join us today. 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. And, of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook Live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Yeah, Eric Street in the chat room says, yesterday's show was funny. Do you know what date that was from? No, because the best ofs that I do when I produce them, I try to take content that we call evergreen, meaning it's not necessarily specific to a particular time period or date. Although the ones that I've done, because I haven't produced any new ones in a while, the ones that I've done are starting to feel a little bit dated regardless. But when I put those together, I'll draw clips from different shows, and I try to keep those. The best ofs tend to be less overtly political because I try to again, I try to make it content that's evergreen, that doesn't have to be, that isn't necessarily relevant to a news story that was happening that day or that week or in that period. So I don't even know which best of ran yesterday, Eric, to be honest with you. Couldn't tell you. But there you go. So, yeah, just a quick thing. So, I try to, and I apologize for not being here. I let Peter know relatively early in the day because, some of you might know, Peter is not only the host of the morning show, but he's also the program director here. So he's the one I alert if for any reason I'm not going to be able to make it in. But, I try not to let, got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say, and I try not to let any professional obligation directly interfere with this professional obligation, which is my favorite of my obligations in terms of what I do. I love coming in every day and doing the show weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. It is a great joy of mine, and I try hard never to miss it. But there are those moments where a professional obligation will interfere, and there's just no getting around it. So as a result of that, I was not able to be here yesterday. Some good news, however, to share regarding all this and what has been happening this week, and I've been very, very busy. There's and it's nice that I can come in and share something positive about all this. There will be, I'll just mention it here briefly. There will be more of an official announcement on social media. But so I'm going to be partnering up with a business in Hooksett, Birchwood Salon. I'm going to be learning to be a hairdresser. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to be learning to be a hairdresser. I'm such a klutz. I don't think I'm even legally allowed to handle sharp objects. Anyone who's ever seen me eat anything that requires a knife and fork can attest that when I do have to handle something sharp like a knife, I do so very slowly and deliberately. I'm not even kidding. It's not even something I say to be funny. I really am very, very careful so I don't, slice off all my fingers or something. I truly am a klutz. I am not known for my manual dexterity, my friends. No. But so that is a wonderful place, Birchwood Salon in Hooksett, and I'm going to be doing hypnotherapy sessions there. If you're a regular listener, you might know I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And so we met, and there's one little piece of paperwork left to take care of, and then that's it. It is official, so it's really a done deal already. But it's been interesting because, I started doing hypnotherapy. Well, I've worked out of a few different places, but some of you, if you're local in the Manchester area, and if you've been here a while, you might remember there was a place up the street for a long time called Styling Souls. And it was a salon, and they did a number of different things there in addition to cutting hair. And I was the hypnotherapist there. So I would work there, again, just part-time. I would do sessions there and other places as well. But so Christy LaValle was the owner there, and worked with her for a long time. Actually worked with her in Concord, and then she moved the salon to Manchester. So eventually she ended up moving the salon to Pittsfield to cut costs and, have the salon where she was living and so forth. And I basically said, Pittsfield, well, I guess that's the end of our working. Well, no, it didn't exactly go that way. I'm sort of kidding, but it's like really out in the middle of the woods. Yeah. So, so then you improvise, and then, and then ultimately, the pandemic hit, and that just, picked up the puzzle and just threw all the pieces into the air. So, I was already doing sessions. Not only would I do them at Styling Souls and other places that I worked, but I would also do home visits too. If it was somebody in the area, and if it was somebody I knew or connected to somebody I knew, I would sometimes go to their home, or I still do that actually. But when the pandemic hit, it was like, oh, well, this changes everything. Especially as someone like myself and Jenny, of course, we take the pandemic very seriously. Or I guess we can say took. I guess we can finally, officially, according to the government, talk about it in the past tense now that the emergency orders have ended officially. So I guess the pandemic is officially over, which is fantastic. It's a good feeling, huh? So not that you shouldn't still be careful or get tested if you think you have COVID, of course, but maybe we'll get into a little bit of that later. We that is something to celebrate, that we made it through, right? Anyway, so, at that point when Styling Souls had moved to Pittsfield, if I was seeing clients in an office setting, it was at home, at a room in our home, and that we had set up all nice. And Jenny did most of that as far as the actual setting it up, because she's really good at that and creating a very comfortable space. But doing it there, I mean, at home, there's advantages and disadvantages to that. You know what I mean? There's advantages, obviously, because it's low overhead because you're already living there. And there's disadvantages in that people are coming to your place of residence, and, it's like, okay, nice to meet you. And we'll get settled in and we'll do our session. And I also live here, so please don't come back and murder me later. Although I would screen that on the intake form that I have the client fill out. One of the questions is, "Are you a murderer?" So I would try to screen those people out. No, I'm kidding. For newer listeners, I do have a dark sense of humor. No, I wouldn't put that on the intake form. But I would include a suggestion, and I still do to this day, a hypnotic suggestion during the session. Under no circumstances will you murder your hypnotherapist at a later date. So it's important, just professionally to include that. No, but anyway, I'm kidding, sort of. But but again, the pandemic shows up, and it's like, yeah, people coming to the home and going and sitting in that room with me for an hour. No. So, but again, we adapt and we go forward, and something, we have to find these silver linings where we can. With the pandemic, people became very accustomed and very used to and conditioned to, having sessions with, whether it be someone like me who's a hypnotherapist or, a therapist, like my dad, he works in the mental health field. And so do I, depending on who you ask. Some people don't like considering hypnotherapists as being a part of the mental health field. It's very interesting. It also depends on what state you're in. In some states, I can't call myself a hypnotherapist. I can only say hypnotist. It's actually illegal in some places to use the word hypnotherapist. It's really interesting. Maybe we'll get into all that sometime. It actually is kind of I think it's an interesting subject. Of course I would. I work in that field. But yeah, people got used to and conditioned to doing, meeting with their therapists online, via Zoom, or there's a very popular app called Doxy that many of them use, and or even for medical visits, if it's a follow-up with your doctor, and it's not something that you have to actually necessarily physically go there for. They just want to ask you some questions and make sure you're okay. So people got very used to that very quickly, to doing it that way. So, again, you adapt and you go forward. So that's what I've been doing. Almost all of my clients I've seen online via Zoom, or actually via Doxy, but I think it's built using Zoom anyway. But been thinking for a little while, it might be time to get back into a setting where, if a client doesn't want to do it online, and they don't necessarily want me to come to their home, which I don't mind doing. The most important thing is that the client is in a setting where they're very comfortable and able to relax. But, if they'd like to go somewhere to an office, now I have, once again, I have a place to do that. So that is what has transpired business-wise this week, and it's pretty exciting. And Jenny, I should mention, she's the one who really pushed me to do that, to initiate that discussion with Chris from Birchwood Salon. So there you go. So pretty much effective immediately. So anyway, so it's been a challenging week, but it's turning out well. So that was my very long-winded explanation. Oh, by the way, if you happen to be watching online, you might notice I also have less hair than I did, because I went in person to Birchwood Salon and got some. I feel a little lighter now. Boy, my hair grows fast anyway, but sometimes I just, it was one thing when I was 20 years old to be running around with all that hair, but I don't know if at this point it really looks that great. So it was probably the right move to go and get it cut. But anyway, that's my long-winded explanation why I was briefly absent. But and again, I apologize for that. But Shannon, hello.
Hello. There's nothing wrong with ponytails,
It seems
you
cliche.
Don't like ponytails?
I have at many points in my life, when I did let my hair get long, yes, I would tie it back in a ponytail.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think my ponytail phase has passed, Shannon.
Okay.
It's a new season.
It's a new season. Can I be your first client? And how much do you charge? You'll have to get my number and let me know or something.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. Your number shows up on the caller ID. I don't want to get into that on the air during the show. I don't think that wouldn't be appropriate. I don't think management wants me booking sessions live on the air. That would be
I was half being facetious, but I'm serious.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a
so.
call. I'll give you a call. I will take down your number. Like I said, you do show up on the caller ID, which you know. That's how I know it's you, unless you
Yes.
thought that I was
That's why
psychic.
I can't pretend to be somebody else.
Right.
I don't think I start with an accent, but then I finish with my regular voice.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're gonna do the bit, you got to really commit to it.
I know.
You got to commit to the bit.
I tried talking Scots or Irish to the cat.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't say, I got to be honest with you. It doesn't sound great. I can see why you don't commit to it. No offense.
Thank you.
Just, yeah, it's constructive criticism.
Yeah.
That's a difficult accent to do, though. Well, then again, I can't do any accents. I mean, I always say if I try to sound British, I end up sounding like an Australian with severe head trauma. I can't do any,
That's one I can't do Australian.
I can't do any, once in a great while, I'll embarrass myself by attempting one, and then I immediately regret it.
It depends on, and the funny thing is, when I'm listening to a book, if it takes place in England and the narrator is doing their job and using the English accent throughout the book, I'll adapt to it and start talking with an English accent and tally-ho.
Yes. Cheerio and things like that, too. I think they say that, and a lot of talk of tea and crumpets. I don't know. I don't know what goes on over there. I just know I see this video and these images of the coronation of King Charles, and I have to tell you, Shannon, I've never been much of an Anglophile to begin with, but I look at that stuff and I'm creeped out by it. It's creepy to me.
Yeah.
It's actually it really does. It gives me the chills when I see him in his new crown and they're doing the whole thing. There's something weird about it. That I find unsettling. I don't even mean it like
is it
to be funny.
Tradition or the age of the things, or
I don't know exactly what it is, but I genuinely it's genuinely creepy to me.
you feel it doesn't belong anymore?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that because
not belong, but just.
No, I know what you mean.
Go.
No, I know what you mean because there is a discussion about that in the UK about, there's an ongoing discussion and there probably always has been about, has the monarchy outlived its usefulness, which I don't know what its usefulness ever was. But no, there's something about like, I see pictures from the coronation and I get a chill up my spine. It's like, I can't quite explain it, but there's something creepy and weird about the whole thing. And I bet
if King Charles looked different, it might not be so creepy.
Maybe if he didn't look so creepy, you mean?
I guess so.
He does.
I haven't seen him in a while.
He does look creepy. He's like, if he approached me at a party, or not that I go to parties, but if he approached me at a party, I'd probably find a way to very stealthily get away from him. He looks like someone I would be very nervous around, and it's not, and I hope our new friend, Conrad War, from the band Bees Deluxe, who came here from there. I hope he's not offended by this if he happens to be listening. And Conrad's lovely. So, it's certainly nothing against British people, but there's something about Charles there, and he's got the crown and the whole thing. There's something weird. I'm picking up on something just not okay about the whole deal. I have nightmares about it, Shannon. I mean, I haven't yet had a nightmare, but
tea before you go to bed.
Don't what?
Don't have any tea before you go to bed.
I don't even like tea. I won't have any crumpets either, and I will not. Go ahead.
I didn't want to call Peter's show this morning because it was Robbio's day back, but
yes.
I want to ask Peter, and I don't know if you've heard of this show, Keeping Up Appearances. It used to be on PBS.
Yeah.
And I used to, when I'd stay at my grandmother's, she'd have that on, and it was Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah.
But people would pronounce it bucket.
Yeah, it's one of those old British sitcoms. It's set in an inn, right?
No.
It's not set in an inn? What's it set in?
No, it's a neighborhood, and you got Hyacinth and Richard and her son Sheridan.
What am I thinking of? Oh. Anyway, I know I've seen the show. Is it an older cast? Is it based on older characters?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'd say middle-aged.
I'm thinking of a different show then. Okay.
Because there was Hyacinth, her sister Rose. There was another sister, Lily, I think.
Maybe I was thinking an inn because I'm thinking of Faulty Towers.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a great show. I mean, I've only seen it a handful of times, but yeah. But no, but I mean, I feel like I have seen Keeping Up Appearances, but probably a long time ago. Long time ago. Mm-hmm,
yeah, the day the music died.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is there was there was a show right after that. You know have you ever listened at all on Sundays once in a while to the Great Gildersleeve?
Oh, I love the old time radio on Sundays. For listeners who don't know, on Sundays here, I think it runs from noon to midnight. It's old time radio shows all day, and there's some great stuff. I love CBS, and I've told Peter this too, because he does all the programming. I love CBS Radio Mystery Theater. That's my favorite thing. There's a show called X-1 that has a little more of a sci-fi vibe, which is really cool, and a couple other shows. The comedy stuff I don't like as much, just because obviously it's of its time, and so it's not.
Well, when Father Knows Best comes on, oh no, because they all whine.
Yeah, I mean, I respect all that stuff, but I wouldn't. I can't listen to it. But I like later in the day when the real CBS Radio Mystery Theater is just fantastic. I love those.
Well, I got 2 good Jell-O pie recipes from listening to the I Love Lucy commercials because she do Jell-O.
Oh yeah, it's fun to hear the old commercials. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the ones about Chesterfield cigarettes. Apparently, those were the ones that doctors recommended because they were those are the healthy cigarettes.
Yeah, there was a commercial. I want to say during one of the Philip Marlowe shows where doctors were pulled and more doctors. Yes. I wish I had gotten that recorded.
Oh, Tony Petrello's in the chat room. He also loves CBS Radio Mystery Theater. Yeah, those are fantastic. There's also a show. What is it? Space Patrol with
Space Patrol. Yes, Corey. Happy.
Oh yeah. And those are. It's funny because you think you hear the name Space Patrol and you think it's probably silly and goofy, but the stories are actually very sophisticated and complex and really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I listen to those.
Yeah.
I don't like X-1 so much. I don't know, but I could not get into reading the book Clockwork Orange or any of the Harry Potter. I think it's the names that get me. The weird name. I don't know.
Well, I don't like Harry Potter because it reminds me of King Charles. It's too British for me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's evil. He's an evil man. Don't trust him.
Because Lawrence Welk would be on. I'd watch that. And I was just reading a book, The Black Lights. Black Lights by Tom Hauser, I think it is. It's about boxing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar.
And, what was I going to say about it?
Oh,
I know I watched some of the... I remember watching some of those fights when I was a little one with my cousin.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
I probably saw him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably saw Muhammad Ali fight.
Oh, well, that's cool.
I remember it.
Yeah. Tony says in the chat room, YouTube has a ton of the CBS Radio Mystery Theater shows. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Tony, because I've had occasions where I've been in the car and I'm listening to an episode of that in the car on a Sunday, and I get to my destination and I have to leave the car, but I want to hear, I'm so wrapped up in the show, I want to hear the rest of it, but I don't have time to sit there and listen to it. So I'll actually, I'll just pull out my phone and I'll just, if I don't know the name of the episode, I'll just Google like some of the names of the characters or some details of the episode, and I'll find it right away, and I'll find it on YouTube, so then I can listen to it later on YouTube if I want to hear how it ends.
No, I realize this is a stupid question for everybody that uses computers, but couldn't you just put your phone on 93.5?
Yeah, but if I'm going to a store or something, I don't want to be walking around in the store listening to the radio show
well, that's
on my
when
phone.
you have a driveway moment. You sit and listen to the rest, right?
Yeah, but that's one thing to do if it's a song or a really great radio segment. But if it's if it's a half-hour CBS Radio Mystery Theater and I'm halfway through it, I don't necessarily want to sit in the car for another 15 minutes just sitting there listening. You know, people might walk by. They might think I'm weird, like I'm some creep or something. I'm very self-conscious about that kind of thing, although less so now that I have my new haircut. When I let my hair be long, you know, I'll have people walking up to me going, "Hey man, you got a cigarette?" They don't do that when my hair's short. For real. I'm completely serious about that. When my hair is long, everyone assumes I'm a smoker, which is ironic given that I'm a hypnotherapist and I help people quit smoking.
Okay, so that's what that is?
That's what is.
The hypnotherapy?
Well,
getting people to quit stuff?
Well, you can do many things with it, but that's the number one thing that I see clients for.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Well, all right, Shannon.
Well, I will let you go. And today's Thursday, so
yes.
You have a great day. Tomorrow is your fun day.
Yes.
Your favorite day.
Friday is my favorite day of the week. It's my long day here at WMNH, and I love it. I have this show, and then I come back for Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C.
Yes, and when you said you're going to play the Cagney and Lacey song for Shannon, I was hoping I'd hear it. But
who said that? Paul said that?
You said that last Friday.
I didn't say that. I don't.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know. I remember you bringing it up, but I never said I would. I don't decide.
Well, you said that to Paulie C.
Oh yeah, but I don't think he said. But he never said he would play it.
Oh no, he didn't.
No.
But I.
That's up to him.
You had said, "Are you going to play it?"
Right. And then I think he said no, and I think he said that he will never play it as long as he lives ever.
Probably.
I know, right? Well,
that's all right.
We'll keep working on him, Shannon. Someday we'll crack him.
No, I love that. I love all your shows. I just need a little time to get past the ambush.
Past the what?
Nothing. It just took me a little time. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But no, you and Jenny have a nice weekend. And,
thank you.
You don't you're not a hiker, camper type.
Me? No, I don't go into the woods.
Right, yeah.
There's deer ticks in the woods, which I'm very afraid of. I don't want to end up with Lyme disease. You've got the Blair Witch is in the woods. That's very frightening to me. I don't want to be in a tent and all of a sudden something is shaking the tent and I don't know what to do. Stay in the tent, go outside, end up in a weird basement in the corner. I don't want any of that, so that scares me. And also too, there's wild animals. Tiger might eat me or something. No, I don't go into the woods.
Oh, if he's listening, even though he's not feeling well, I hope he feels better. But I had written him a little letter.
Oh. And
I sent that out April 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got it.
I don't either.
Or if somebody in the mailroom, because I don't know what floor he's on or anything. So I just put attention there. But
well, if he calls, I will ask him.
Or he can take a day and he'll have something to do. Go in search of the litter.
I think Bruce stole it.
He might have.
Bruce is a big mail thief. Let's start that rumor.
Yeah, he might have said, I'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Never trust your mail with Bruce.
All right. Well, you guys have a nice weekend.
All right. Thank you, Shannon.
I'll be listening tomorrow night.
Okay. Excellent. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Take care. Yep.
Bye-bye. All right. Always nice to hear from our friend Shannon. And that does open up a line for you, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. is the studio line. Jenny said in the chat, there's a strange man on my screen, LOL. It's just me. Melanie said, nice Blair Witch reference. I do love the Blair Witch Project. People made fun of it. Some people made fun of it when it came out. I think the Blair Witch Project, and I'm not saying this to be funny, I absolutely sincerely mean this. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it is brilliant. But some of the reactions to it did at the time when it came out, because I was working at Strawberries on Loudon Road in Concord, and of course, Strawberries, we sold DVDs and CDs, and eventually it got bought by Transworld, who also owns FYE and so forth. But I remember working there at the time when that movie came out, and when it came out on DVD, actually, when it was still in the theaters and it was really popular, some of the conversations I had with people were very strange, because the whole point of it is to make it look like it's real, but nobody's supposed to be actually fooled. Like, I'd have conversations with people who'd come in the store. They'd be like, wow, I can't believe they found that video and then made a movie out of it. That almost seems wrong. It's like they're exploiting the people in the movie who died. And it's like, so I remember having a conversation with one specific person where they said something like that to me. And I'm like, hey, did you happen to see the other night, the Tonight Show, where the guests on the show were the people in the Blair Witch Project, the three main cast members, they were on the show? Yeah, I saw that. Okay, but you just told me you think it's wrong that they took that video and made a movie out of it and exploited the deaths of these people. So when you see the actors on your television, what happens in your brain? Anything? I mean, really, it was bizarre. Like, it's I guess it's cool that in a way that people bought into it and suspended their disbelief, but you're really only required to suspend your disbelief while you're actually watching the film. It doesn't need to carry over afterward while you're walking around going, wow, I can't believe they made a movie out of that. But no, I think Blair Witch Project is brilliant. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
I didn't know you were a hypnotherapist.
Yes, I am, Dave Ridley.
But I'm not. I'm not.
You're not a hypnotherapist?
That's what I called to tell you.
All right. I never suspected that you were, to tell you the truth. I mean, when would you have time to hypnotize anybody? You're busy trying to secede from the union.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of hours. That's actually the federal government's job. The federal government will do the stuff that needs to be done that makes New Hampshireites want to leave.
Want to leave New Hampshire or leave the union?
Maybe both.
Oh, well, that's boy, that's disheartening. Although young people,
yeah, but you know, if we have an independent nation here, then I think that it would draw people here. It would be special.
Now, I know you don't like my idea about having a nuclear weapon if we become our own country. What about just a small, if we can't have a nuke, how about just a couple of bunker busters?
So if you really want to talk seriously about like a national defense or what's the best policy for a small, independent, maybe neutral nation to have, the simple answer is probably just two words. It's probably just Costa Rica.
You want to invade Costa Rica?
No. It's just, if you just look at Costa Rica, you learn what happens when you get rid of your military and you go neutral. Even if you're in a bad neighborhood, your life gets better. So Costa Rica got rid of its military in the 1940s. And of course, obviously, since then, there have been problems in Central America. They're right next to Nicaragua and Honduras and everything. But actually, they've never had a war. They've never had they've been a great place to live in a bad neighborhood, really, for a long time now, because they got rid of their military, didn't spend money on a military in the first place, and didn't form any alliances. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they remain neutral. Unaligned, I think, is the term we use. Yes.
It's likely that actually having a military just puts you more at risk your military becomes a risk to your people, or it goes making trouble with neighbors and stuff like that. And so that's one way to do it. Of course, there are ways to have a military and be independent and be neutral. That like Switzerland, that's another thing. But their military costs them a lot of money. I suspect the Costa Rica approach is better.
Well, and Switzerland is. Oh no, I'm sorry. I almost said something really foolish. Yeah, Switzerland is neutral. I was thinking of. I was in my mind for a moment there. I conflated Switzerland with Sweden because Sweden is joining NATO or has joined NATO. Switzerland, yes, they are neutral. But they do have a military?
Switzerland has a big military, I mean, for its size.
I think everybody does, right? Except, I mean, who other than Costa Rica? So when you say Costa Rica has no military, you mean literally no military at all? No defense whatsoever?
Well, they have police. They have, I think maybe a Coast Guard or something like that. I'm not, I don't remember all the details.
Yeah.
But they had a civil war in the 40s, and I think that was what convinced them that the military was more of a problem than a solution. And just their unique situation and the way they came out of the war made them choose to do that when other countries had not. I'm not sure that had ever even been tried before. There was a nation in the ancient times, the Indus Valley civilization. I'm not sure if they had a military or not, but they never had a war.
Okay.
That was in modern-day Pakistan. Very advanced. I don't remember what the timeline was here. But, yeah, no, that's special. And the fact that they proved that could be done in the ancient and very, very violent world is just – it's like that should be the ninth wonder of the world, right, or one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, right?
Yes. Now, so our friend JFed has a question, and I think he's sort of kidding, but it does raise a serious point. So maybe he's not kidding. Here's the question, and then I'll tell you what I take from it, and then we'll get your answer, Dave. So JFed says, could New Hampshire become their own nation? He's actually in Vermont, but he says, could New Hampshire become their own nation? Then the USA could go in and kick New Hampshire's ass and take it back. That would be like the only war the U.S. has won. Now, but that does raise a serious question. So if New Hampshire secedes, we become our own nation, and we don't have any kind of defense, what is to stop the United States from invading us and just taking us back?
Well, you could. Again, there's a lot of different options. You could take the Costa Rica approach, where we're just the good guys, we're harmless, why are you invading us? Or you could take the Swiss approach, where we're armed to the teeth, and every home has a mandated assault rifle in it, and everyone's required to join the military, but you don't. But you're neutral and peaceful. You could do that, or another option would be to do the Gandhi mode, where Gandhi had a plan for fighting the Japanese if they invaded India, which they almost did do in World War II. And his plan was basically don't try to kill any of them, but just do to them what we did to the British, and just mass civil disobedience, constantly disobeying everything they want us to do, drive them nuts. Actually, the Japanese liked Gandhi, so I don't think it would have really even come to that. The Japanese government in the World War II era. But that's another option. The fourth option would be and this has never been tried. Well, I don't think this has really been tried before. The closest thing would be Yugoslavia under Tito. He had a plan to fight the Soviet Union by going straight into guerrilla war. They weren't going to bother defending any borders. They weren't going to have any dogfights in the air. They were going to go push straight into the mountains of Bosnia and just fight from there.
Yeah.
And that would be another option. And then I guess the fifth option roughly would be something more along the lines of a completely decentralized, individual-based guerrilla resistance, where you don't have any command and control. You just have the governor just says, here's the parameters. We're asking all of the people of New Hampshire to resist along these lines. Here's what you can't do. Here's what you can do. And I'm going to go into hiding now, and then just let them fight it out. So again, New Hampshire could go straight into guerrilla war if it were invaded. But I guess I favor probably something along the lines of the Costa Rica or Gandhi model. Definitely don't like the idea of shooting at U.S. Forces, even if we were already independent, and this was 20 years after independence, and they invaded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I'd want to. Even then, I'm not sure I'd want to see them shot at. Certainly, in this case, like the way it is right now, the U.S. government has enough of an aura of legitimacy left that any kind of violent resistance against them reduces your chance of success. The science, there's this lady, they call her the scientist of civil disobedience. Her name is Erica Chenoweth, and she ran some studies that show if you go violent in your secession drive,
mm-hmm.
your chances of seceding go down by a factor of 3.
Interesting. Why? Does she explain why?
I think it's because it makes the invader or the crackdown government or the dictator or whatever, it makes their forces feel more comfortable being against you if you're shooting at them.
That makes sense.
But if you're resisting peaceably, then it just starts to become they're fighting their brother, they're fighting their liquor store owner.
Mm-hmm.
They're just the number of people that can resist becomes so big if you're talking about nonviolent resistance, and the number of methods that can be used becomes so wide with nonviolent resistance that it just massively increases your potential for a large movement. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And actually, a couple of the options, too, that you mentioned, at least a couple, maybe 3, in terms of what, if New Hampshire had seceded and then invaded by the United States. We do live in a state that is armed to the teeth. So I suppose with all the people who do have guns, there would be at least a couple of the options that you mentioned would work, or would at least be tried as far as defending the state against the U.S.
The Swiss model or the guerrilla war model, the Tito model, would be more useful if we were invaded by China long after declaring independence or something like that. So something that's so foreign and alien. In cases like that, violent resistance apparently is considered more appropriate and more effective because you're fighting against something that has no aura of legitimacy to lose.
Yeah.
China, I believe, will never invade New Hampshire no matter what happens. That's not their way of doing things. They would try to influence the government. They're already trying to do that with Sununu. They would do their China thing, and it's very different from the way the United States goes in with kinetics. They just China doesn't go to war nearly as often as the United States does.
You said something interesting there, Dave. China already trying to influence Governor Sununu. What do you mean?
Well, the extent that I know about it is just 2 things. First of all, they have a rating system where they rate all of America's governors on how friendly they are toward Beijing.
Really?
And so they've given Governor Sununu a rating. I don't know what his rating is, if it's high or low in their esteem. And the other thing is Beijing has sort of an unofficial consulate in New Hampshire, you might say. It's called a Confucius Center.
Oh, you've talked about those before, and not to derail you, Dave, but my dad has talked. My dad was the first one to bring to my attention, and it's popped up in the news a little bit. These police stations, effectively, that China has in the United States, and I don't know if that is in any relation to the Confucius Centers. I remember you talking about the Confucius Centers. I don't know if there's a direct connection there between that and these sort of weird police stations that they have. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought of that when you mentioned the Confucius Centers.
The Confucius Centers are not police stations. They're totally soft power. It's just it's like an educational thing. So it's funded by the Chinese government, and their thing is to appear usually at U.S. universities. For instance, in this case, it's what is it, UNH at Durham in eastern New Hampshire.
Yeah, you went
right?
to visit them, right?
I went to the Confucius Center, and I was going to do the Ridley Report stuff and ask them questions with my camera and everything, but they were always gone when I would go there. I did do a little demonstration in front of their empty office.
Yeah.
But just had a free Hong Kong sign. But you know, they're not as nefarious as they could be. The idea is to help kids learn Mandarin, help the college kids learn Mandarin, and they'll teach a class on Chinese history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not all evil, but it's definitely funded by the Chinese government, and they obviously are going to have their expectations that it will improve Chinese power in some way, or they wouldn't be funding it.
Mm-hmm.
It beats Iraq war, right? It's better than U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, right? It's the Chinese way of expanding, and there's all kinds of evils that come along with it, but it's not always as bad as what the U.S. does.
Interesting. Okay. Do you know about the other thing, the police stations?
I've never heard about that.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. There was one in I think in Chinatown in New York City, where they have these sort of, I guess, makeshift police stations set up, and they harass some of the residents there who immigrated from China to the United States, and it's interesting. It's a weird thing. When I first heard about it, I thought it was some made up conspiracy theory thing, but this has actually been getting a little bit of coverage in mainstream media outlets. It's interesting. I don't know how many of them there are or anything like that, but I do.
They did have.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
No, you go ahead, Dave.
The Chinese government was implicated in, for example, there was a student in Australia who was just organizing like a very ramshackle protest against the invasion of Tibet or Hong Kong or whatever. Wasn't the takeover of Hong Kong. I think he was late to his own protest. It was going to have like 10 people, but a bunch of thugs showed up and started beating on his protesters.
Really?
And beat on him. And then the university blamed him. You shouldn't have had a demonstration against the Chinese government. And they tried to expel him from school. And the Beijing embassy in Australia got involved in supporting the ruffians, the guys who were assaulting everybody. So you weren't allowed to hold a sign on your own campus, in Australia. This is about 3 years ago when this happened. So that is eventually coming. That's eventually coming here. As China really does have. They are the world's up and coming superpower, and it's not going to get smaller, and their power is not going to go away. So we're going to have to learn what's the appropriate response to this. How do you handle it? And there's a lot of different options. But like I said, I just mentioned 5. For an independent New Hampshire, right? They're easy to, pick and choose from. Some are easier than others. Some don't cost any money at all. There's all kinds of methods we can use to hold China at bay, even as a very small country. And actually, the Chinese understand this and respect that to some extent. And they're not usually one. For instance, the Chinese government is not trying to make all the governments in the world communist, right? Like the Americans try to make everything a democracy.
True. Jenny says in the chat that she saw a news report that says they have set up those Chinese police stations in Canada. Wow. Well, actually, I shouldn't be surprised because when they sent that spy balloon over, it went over not only the United States but over Canada as well.
Yeah, the fight's coming here. Like there was some guys that set up, or some artists that made a he lampooned Xi Jinping, like with a sculpture or something like that. And Xi Jinping's people keep coming in and trying to burn this sculpture down, and I guess they burned it down on the first try, actually,
really?
If I recall correctly. And this was like in the middle of nowhere in the United States somewhere.
Really? That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, I feel like we went in a couple different directions. Is that why you called, Dave, or was there some other reason?
I was going to call about something else, but I've taken up so much of your time, I may just call back in about it later. It's not time sensitive.
Okay, yeah.
Piece of New Hampshire news.
Yeah, we are approaching the top of the hour, so that's fine. But no, interesting discussion, Dave. I appreciate the call, my friend.
Yep.
All right, Dave. Oh, do you want to plug anything? Ridley Report or NHExit or?
Oh, yeah, nhexit.us. Speaking of which, NHExit, I guess they've hired an aircraft. Which is going to rove New Hampshire with an NHExit banner.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, very good. I'll let you know if I see it.
All right.
All right, Dave. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was our friend Dave Ridley. Ironically enough, some breaking news just came over the wire. China has just invaded Costa Rica. So, Dave, if you're still listening, I bet you feel pretty foolish now about them not having their own military. Huh? Melanie said in the chat room, you guys would be so much happier as Vermonters. We have reproductive rights, legalized marijuana. We generally kick ass over here. And Jenny pointed out that Vermont has a state income tax, staying in New Hampshire. Yes. By the way, we're two of the safest states. I just saw, there's always every year, there's these polls that show data from, oh, wow. Okay. I'll tell you in a second what I was wowing about. There's, data about crime statistics across the country. And as usual, New Hampshire and Vermont, I believe, both ranked in the top 5 of safest states that you can live in the United States. I think Maine was in the top 5 as well. I was saying, oh, wow, Jenny just messaged me that our guest, Chris Connor, had to cancel tomorrow. We will reschedule him, of course. A podcaster, and he interviews a lot of MMA fighters, and I was looking forward to speaking with him, but sounds like he's got a bit of a challenge that he's dealing with at the moment, so we hope he's okay. But we're already approaching the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and take our break now. I'm going to play a track from the Stone Road Band, Brutus. I also opened with a track of theirs. We do play Stone Road Band's music on the show occasionally because one of the guys from the Stone Road Band is singer-songwriter Kevin Horan, who is going to be at the Hop Knot this weekend, our amazing sponsor in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street. By the way, today is Thursday, which means tonight is trivia night at the Hop Knot. It starts at 7 p.m., so it's back to its old time. Broderick Lang is doing it now, I believe, because Bill Cini had other commitments. So Broderick Lang is the new guy and getting rave reviews there at the Hop Knot. So that starts tonight at 7 p.m. If you are going to participate in Trivia Night, please call ahead or contact via social media to reserve a spot, because it's a very popular feature there at the Hop Knot, and those spots do fill up quickly. And then Saturday night, Kevin Horan of the Stone Road Band will be doing his thing at the Hop Knot from 7 to 9 p.m. So we're going to play another track from his band, the Stone Road Band. I really love these guys. And by the way, Kevin Horan is going to be a guest right here on Matt Connarton Unleashed. I don't remember the date, but that is going to be coming up soon as well, and I'm really looking forward to meeting him. But anyway, so we'll give this a spin, and we'll show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we will be back with hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connarton Unleashed. There is plenty more to come. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. It is Matt Connarton Unleashed as we cruise into our second hour numero dos here. We are well into our second hour, actually, live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Thursday, May 11, 2023. So nice to have you all with me. If you'd like to join us today on the program, 603-250-6007 is the studio line, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat, and we will say hello to everybody in there in just a moment. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. The band, by the way, that we played, that is the Stone Road Band. That is a live version of their song Brutus, from the album Alive at Dusk, a live album they recorded, or it might be an EP, I'm not sure. But Kevin Horan from the band, the Stone Road Band, is going to be performing at the Hop Knot on Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m., doing the solo thing. So check him out. And he's going to be coming on the show as a guest pretty soon, I believe. Also, too, today is Thursday, which means tonight at the Hop Knot is Trivia Night, now hosted by Broderick Lang, beginning at 7 p.m. So make sure you call ahead to reserve your spot, because those spots do fill up quickly. I do want to say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat, and then we'll get into some other things here. It's a constantly spinning news cycle. That's for sure. That never changes, though, really. Melanie La Liberty from the great state of Vermont is in the chat room, as well as Jay Fed. Rhonda Favero from the great state of California joins us and says, howdy, guys. Jenny, of course, is in the chat and says, shalom, peeps. Eric Street also in the chat room, as well as Chris Rose from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Melanie is asking because... I mentioned Peter White earlier, that he's not only the morning man here at WMNH, he's also the program director. Melanie asks, is he a mean program director? Like, does he yell at you a lot? Actually, no. Peter is wonderful. Everyone is wonderful here. And I'm not just saying that because there's somebody standing off camera with some sort of weapon. No. No, in all seriousness, they do not. There's no yelling, and everyone's great. And I'm given tremendous autonomy with this show, which I appreciate. I do not take it for granted, believe me, because in radio, there are a lot of mean people in management. But no, we're very fortunate here. Everyone's pretty chill. Melanie says, you can tell us. We won't say anything. Let's see. Oh, Jay Fed says, congratulations, Matt, referring to what I was discussing in the first hour. If you missed it, of course, it'll be in the archive. Tony Petrello, of course, in the chat room. Let's see. Miriam Banish says in the chat, we were talking a little bit about hypnotherapy earlier. Miriam says, Matt is a really good hypnotherapist. Thank you, Miriam. I do think I'm pretty good at what I do. I try. I do my best. Let's see. Melanie's going to start the paperwork to get the ball rolling. I think to get it all rolling. I think Vermont is going to absorb New Hampshire into Vermont. Oh, Jenny points out in the chat room, I will be seeing your senator next week in D.C. It's his town hall I'm going to be on the panel for. Yes, the 16th, Tuesday of next week, Jenny will be in Washington, D.C., with Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, speaking on that panel about healthcare. Very, very excited about that. And assuming she's with me here on Monday, she'll talk all about it. But yeah, it's a great opportunity, and I'm very proud of her. Let's see. Just want to make sure we don't miss it. Oh, W Subaru, or W equals Subaru, is in the Facebook live chat and says, hello, hashtag Matt. We say to you from us. We say good to see you. Hashtag Matt Connarton. Hello, hashtag Jen Coffee, we say. Good afternoon, we say to you, hashtag Jen. Hashtag Matt Connarton. We say happened to you yesterday afternoon. We say hashtag Matt Connarton. You have a wonderful haircut. Well, thank you. Thank you, W equals Subaru, who I cannot prove this, but I have a strong suspicion hails from Greensboro, North Carolina. I can't be certain, but I strongly suspect that that is so. 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. I do want to, we'll try to get to it, of course, because it happened right here in the Queen City, Manchester, New Hampshire. Trump was here yesterday at St. Anselm College for the town hall on CNN. But before we do that, and I wanted to talk about this yesterday with our friend Eric Pilcher, and then I ended up not coming in yesterday. And I explained it earlier in the show if you missed it, but why I wasn't here. And again, I do apologize to everybody for not being able to be here yesterday. But W equals Subaru says, wow, looks great, we say to you, hashtag Matt. Well, thank you. Because Eric is going to be joining us in the first hour every Wednesday that I'm here to talk about media. But there is more and more Tucker Carlson news. Michael Albert says in the chat, amazing difference from the last time Trump visited. You could barely notice. Well, we'll get to that. But Tucker Carlson making moves. Allegedly, he's going to have a show on Twitter, although Elon Musk initially denied it. I'm confused about that. But he's also, apparently Tucker is planning some sort of war against Fox. Maybe he's going to team up with Trump. But this is from Axios. It says, Scoop, Tucker Carlson accuses Fox of fraud and contract breach. It says here, Tucker Carlson, 2 weeks after being ousted by Fox, it's only been 2 weeks, it seems longer, accused the network Tuesday of fraud and breach of contract and made a host of document demands that could precede legal action. The aggressive letter from his lawyers to Fox positions Carlson to argue that the non-compete provision in his contract is no longer valid, freeing him to launch his own competitive show or media enterprise, or competing show or media enterprise, I should say. Now, that's interesting because I remember reading earlier that he would not be able to just go and suddenly start his own show. When news began to circulate that he was going to have a show on Twitter, which I didn't know Twitter was offering programming now, but apparently there's something there, I guess. Or maybe that's something new that they're building in. But, they used to have the Periscope app, which you could use to do shows on Twitter. I know somebody who used to do a fake radio show from New York City on Twitter using Periscope. But we don't talk about that. There had been news that there was a non-compete clause, which is a standard thing in media, so because obviously if Fox was getting rid of him, they didn't want him to just be able to go and just start a new show. And there's usually no compete clauses built into the, or non-compete, I should say, to be precise, non-compete clauses built into these contracts. So if something happens, you don't just get to go and start your own show and directly compete with the people who just fired you. They want to avoid that. So that's usually included. So I was very surprised when it was being announced, when he announced, I should say, Tucker Carlson himself announced that he would be bringing his show to Twitter. I was like, already? How does that happen? So apparently his lawyers are arguing that the non-complete clause is no longer valid. Now, he said in the video, Tucker Carlson said in the video that he posted, quote, starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We bring some other things too, which we'll tell you about, but for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right thing you have. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others, unquote. The Twitter move would seem to technically violate Carlson's contract with Fox, but his lawyer's letter effectively holds that Fox breached the contract first. by the way, something that I would immediately wonder about is, how is that non-compete written? And I guess if his lawyers are arguing that the non-complete is invalid, non-phonics, Matt, that the non-compete is invalid because Fox breached the contract first, does that automatically invalidate the whole contract? For one thing, that would be a question. I'm not sure that's going to hold up, but and I'm not a legal expert or a legal scholar of any kind, so I don't know. I'm in over my head. I'm just spitballing here. But the other thing that I would wonder about is the way the non-compete is written. Does it specifically say that he can't go on a streaming platform or a social media platform, in this case, like Twitter, and have a show? Or is the contract written in a way where it seems to say, and again, if it's all invalid, then this question is moot. But is the contract written in a way where it expresses that he cannot go and, go have a show on some other cable network like CNN? Does it actually address anything about streaming or about social media? It may not. It may not. Streaming has changed everything, and not everyone believed, hey, way back in the day when Netflix said, for example, we're going to begin to do away with this whole thing where we send you a DVD and then you send it back because that's how some people might not remember, especially you youngins out there. That's how Netflix actually started. Netflix didn't start as a streaming platform. Netflix started as a service where you go online and you order what you want to watch, and then they ship you the DVD. And then when you're done with it, you ship it back, and then you can get something else shipped to you. That's how Netflix originally started, and then it became the streaming service that it is today. This whole writer's strike that's going on right now, WGA going on strike, a lot of that is being driven by these writers who are saying, wait a minute, streaming has changed everything. We used to get hired to write on a television series, which would be 22 episodes a season. So we knew we were going to be writing for those 22 episodes. Now you've got these shows that are streaming on platforms like Netflix and Hulu. Some of them are only 10 episodes or 12 episodes or 8 episodes or 5 episodes. So everything's changing, and it's become, they're saying it's you've turned writing for television into something that's a gig economy within that industry. Because things aren't long-term like they used to be. Now you might be writing for what is called a quote-unquote series, but it's really only 5 episodes that are streaming on Netflix. So it's not long-term. So we need to change all of this. So I just wonder, because the industry, in terms of how the contracts are structured, has been slow to react to technology, which is what always happens, right? The law in anything, whether it be contracts or government regulations or whatever, it never keeps up with technology. Technology is always out in front. And, maybe that'll never change. Maybe that's just a natural course of things, because you don't necessarily know where technology is going to go. And sometimes we make predictions about it, and we turn out to be wrong. But I just wonder, I would be very curious, what does his contract actually say in terms of the non-compete? Does it say he can't do a show anywhere under any circumstances for X amount of time until his contract would be up? Is that what it actually says? Does it mean, however it's written, he can't even do a YouTube stream if he wanted to? Again, these are questions because of technology, and there's so many people streaming now. I mean, there are people streaming who used to work for big media companies who, they get fired or their contract runs out and they don't like the numbers or whatever. And they just say, well, screw it. I'll just start my own YouTube channel and I'll get a gazillion subscribers because I'm already famous or at least have a really strong fan base. And I'll be able to monetize that way and make tons of money. And, you've got so many options now. So I wonder, does his contract take any of that into account in terms of the non-compete? So But his lawyers are arguing that it's all irrelevant because it's already been breached by Fox. So it says here, sources told Axios that Carlson's lawyers sent their letter before he took to Twitter to announce his new show. Axios reported Sunday that Carlson, frustrated with being held to his contract, is preparing to unleash allies to pressure the network into letting him work for or start a right-wing rival. See, that's the thing. If you clear that one hurdle or go through that one barrier, Tucker Carlson does not, in the position that he's in, again, because of streaming and the way the technology has advanced, he doesn't have to spend another day of his career on any cable network. He could be on the Daily Wire or the Blaze, which both strictly stream online. You know, there's many other places where he could go and possibly have an even larger audience. He already had the largest audience in all of cable news. But some of these audiences online that people are getting actually are bigger. This is something people don't realize too. You know, cable news, they don't pull necessarily the audience numbers that you might think that they do. Some people who have gone from cable news to strictly online are actually pulling bigger numbers online in terms of audience. Of course, you can actually measure it more easily online too by monitoring web traffic and view counts and so forth. Whereas, you know, in television, ratings aren't always, you know, there's not a system that's necessarily going to be completely accurate, right? You have to take that into account. And in radio, it's even sketchier as far as ratings, measuring ratings, right? Or maybe that's just me wanting to think, I don't know. It says here, Carlson's contract runs until January 2025, and Fox wants to keep paying him, which would prevent him from starting a competing show. Oh, that's a good gig. Actually, January 2025, that's only a year and a half, and Fox is going to keep paying him the whole time? You know, it might not. This is the thing, too, and I'm sure he's thinking about this. Is it better to, after being ousted from Fox, strike while the iron is hot, start the new show right away somewhere else? Or is it better to have that break, be gone for a year and a half and come back fresh, and people will be excited that you're back? You know, sometimes, I mean, you know, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder, or, you know, how can we miss you if you won't go away? You know, so if you go away for a year and a half, maybe you come back bigger than ever. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm sure that's part of the calculation here. It says here, Carlson already has gotten eye-popping offers from several right-wing outlets and has talked to Elon Musk about working together. Now, according to Tucker Carlson's announcement, he's already got the show on Twitter, but Elon Musk then publicly denied that. Is that because Elon Musk is worried about getting sued by Fox? So Elon Musk maybe they have made a deal. Maybe they've made a handshake deal, but haven't put pen to paper yet because Carlson's lawyers have to untangle this with Fox. But Tucker was excited, went ahead and announced it. Now Elon's like, well, I don't want to get sued by Fox for contract tampering. So maybe we hold off until we know you're definitely in the clear and you're out of that deal. Maybe that would make sense. It says here, the letter from Carlson lawyer Brian Friedman to Fox officials Viet Din and Irina Briganti, what's wrong with me? Irina Briganti said Fox employees, including Rupert Murdoch himself, broke promises to Carlson, quote, intentionally with reckless disregard for the truth, unquote. The lawyers accuse Fox executives, which two sources say are Din, which I'm probably not saying correctly, and Murdoch, for making representations or promises to Carlson that were intentionally broken, constituting fraud. Notably, the letter alleges Fox broke an agreement with Carlson not to leak his private communications to the media. Oops. And not to use Carlson's private messages, quote, to take any adverse employment action against him, unquote. Maybe oops. We still don't know the exact reason he was fired. Multiple outlets have reported on Carlson's redacted communications from pretrial discovery documents and have suggested that they led to his ousting. I'm still skeptical about that, by the way. I still think if I were a betting man, I would put my money on the, is it Amy Grossberg? I would put my money on that in her pending litigation against Fox for harassment. It says here, again, this is from Axios. The letter also alleges Fox broke promises not to settle with Dominion Voting Systems, quote, in a way which would indicate wrongdoing, unquote, on the part of Carlson, and not to take any actions in a settlement that would harm Carlson's reputation. Interesting. So if I'm understanding that correctly, so the letter that Tucker Carlson's lawyers sent to Fox claims that Fox broke a promise by settling with Dominion because it made Tucker Carlson look bad because he was a part of pushing that narrative about the 2020 election. That's interesting. Not to settle with them, quote, in a way which would indicate wrongdoing, unquote, on the part of Carlson. That's fascinating to me. Carlson was told by a member of the Fox board that he was taken off the air as part of the Dominion settlement. Two sources briefed on a conversation told Axios. That's been another big theory, of course, not only about Amy Grossberg, but about the settlement itself, that had something to do with it. I still don't think it was those text messages. I don't think it had anything to do with that. Even calling a Fox News executive the C word, which he did, in any other job, of course that would get you fired. You don't get to do that in corporate America or even in a small business. You don't get to say something like that about an executive or the top executive. Was it about the CEO of the company or somebody close to the top at least? But when you're the #1 rated host in all of cable news, that's the one time you probably can get away with that, which is why I don't think that's what it was. I don't think it helped them, but I don't think that's what it was. It says here, again, this is from Axios. According to a source familiar with Carlson's position, his lawyers believe that the misrepresentations alleged by Carlson amount to a breach of contract because they created additional terms of Carlson's employment that were then broken by the company. These actions not only breached the covenant of good faith and fair dealing in the agreement, but gave rise to claims for breach of contract and intentional and negligent misrepresentation, the letter says. A Fox spokesperson said, "It is categorically false that Carlson lost his job as part of the network's $787.5 million settlement with Dominion Voting Systems." Stephen Shackelford, an outside attorney for Dominion, told Axios' Dan Primack, quote, "Dominion did not insist on them firing Tucker Carlson as part of the settlement," unquote. Carlson is also claiming that Briganti, Fox's longtime communications and PR chief, attempted to, quote, "undermine, embarrass, and interfere," unquote, with Carlson's future business prospects, which he maintains would constitute another breach of his employment contract. The letter said, quote, "Make no mistake, we intend to subpoena Ms. Briganti's cell phone records and related documents, which evidence communications with her and all media, including, but not limited to, the New York Times," unquote. Carlson's lawyers added that because Carlson is considering litigation against the network to resolve these disputes, Fox News must take immediate steps, quote, "to preserve all existing documents and data," unquote, relevant to Fox's relationship with Carlson, including correspondence between top executives and several media outlets. So there you go. This story will not be over for a long time. The saga of Tucker Carlson continuing on after his employment ends with Fox News. This has offended. This has affected Rumble too, by the way. Because a lot of people thought he'd land at Rumble, like Steven Crowder, and Carlson going and announcing that he's going to Twitter with his show means he's not going to Rumble. And apparently this has affected Rumble. We're not going to get into it right now, but Bloomberg is reporting in their technology section. Tucker Carlson's Twitter move wipes $235 million from Rumble. Shares sank as much as 12% yesterday. Rumble has kind of emerged, of course, as a right-wing alternative to YouTube. Let's see. 603-250-6007 is a number if you'd like to jump in. 603-250-6007. All right, I do want to get to a little bit, and we might continue this tomorrow. Trump was here yesterday, not here in studio, of course, but here in the Queen City of the Granite State. And for those of you not from here, that means Manchester, New Hampshire. Oh, wow. Debt default would increase housing payments by 22%, according to Zillow. All right. So I did not see the whole, I have not had a chance to see the entire thing yet. Most of it, but not all of it. Something that alarmed me about Trump's town hall, and by the way, I mean, the town hall, CNN is taking a lot of criticism for various reasons over the town hall. And I haven't mentioned this. And yesterday I ended up getting so busy, I haven't even posted this picture yet on social media, but I have a picture that I took yesterday. I was at a gas station and there was a truck. If you've ever seen them, there's these trucks that you can rent or lease for your business, where it's basically an electronic billboard on the side of the truck and on the back of the truck. And there's this organization called Ultraviolet Action, and this truck was driving around Manchester. And it says, it's got a picture of Trump's face on it, and it says, WTF CNN, dump Trump, cancel the town hall. And I took a picture of it, and I also had a brief conversation with the driver of the truck. And there may or may not be floating around right now somewhere online a picture of me posing with the truck and a big smile on my face and 2 thumbs up. Now, having said that, in case you happen to come across that picture, I do want to make this clear. I did not have any problem with CNN doing this. Again, I did pose with the truck and take a picture of the truck. And I did talk to the driver. But I thought it was funny. But that doesn't mean I necessarily agreed with the sentiment that CNN should not do this. Some people felt that CNN should not do this. I disagree. I have no problem with it. Now, if you're a longtime listener, you know my feelings about the former president. Not a fan. But I thought it was perfectly appropriate for CNN to do a town hall with him. He's as I like to refer to him, the presumptive nominee for the Republican nomination for 2024. I do believe he'll be the nominee. He's the Republican frontrunner. Why wouldn't you do a town hall with him? Having said that, what I did see, and again, I saw most of it, not all of it. I need to go back and watch the whole thing. I had a lot going on. But it seemed to be sort of a version of the speech that he gives when he's at a podium, but with a journalist interrupting and asking questions. But it was basically all the same stuff that he says when he gives a speech. One thing specific that I found particularly, 2 things that really jumped out at me. Well, maybe 3. Well, first thing, so we've been talking about it on the show quite a bit. Over the years, we've talked about it a lot, but especially recently because it's a front burner issue. You know, that asteroid that's coming. And if you're just joining us, don't freak out. I don't mean there's literally an asteroid coming up. It's a metaphor. But the debt limit, will be defaulting in June, most likely, and thus wrecking the American economy. So apparently Trump is in favor of that. And bummed me out, especially because while I don't have a lot of nice things to say about him, generally, one of the things that I have always given him credit for is that when he was president, he had the correct position on the debt ceiling. And I appreciated that. His position was that under no circumstances, not only could the United States never be allowed to default on our debt, but that it should not even be used as a negotiating wedge. He's on record saying that. He said it's reckless and stupid. It's too dangerous, and we can't do that, and we can't risk default, and we're not even going to use it to negotiate. That was his position. His position was absolutely correct. Well, apparently, that's no longer his position. He said during the town hall that, he said he didn't necessarily think that there would be a default. He said the Democrats will cave. But he said he was fine with default. And he actually said we might as well default because it's going to happen eventually anyway. So might as well get it over with. And, we might have a bad day or a bad week economically as a result, but it probably won't be any big deal. That was his whole spin. So he's completely done a 180 in his position on the debt limit. He now seems to be pro-default. Listening to him say that, it reminded me of years ago when I was a co-host on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades with the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, God rest his soul. And the debt limit would be in the news, and we'd have these crazy guests on who would say the very things that Trump was saying. Well, yeah, they'd come on and they'd say, well, yeah, of course we should default. Why would you want to keep spending money? We should default. Better to do it now than do it later. So my belief is if you support default, then you support effectively American and potentially global economic Armageddon. This thing he was saying about, well, we might have a bad day or a bad week, but it won't be a big deal. That is insane. And if you support that, if you agree with that, no offense, but you are insane. You are absolutely out of your mind. So that was disappointing. He supports default. He thinks we should default on our debt. By the way, as a consequence of that, if you are someone who collects Social Security, forget about worrying about Social Security reform or having your Social Security cut. Social Security will end. Social Security payments will not go out. If you support our nation's military, our brave men and women who serve in the United States military, and you support default, well, guess what? You don't actually support the military because you don't support them getting paid. It's bad enough we have people serving in the United States military who aren't paid enough as it is, not even paid a living wage, and have to go on public assistance to feed themselves and feed their families because we don't pay them enough. Once we default, we won't be paying them anything. Just a couple of quick examples. So default will be disastrous. It will be catastrophic. And this is absolutely a disqualifier that he takes that position. And I was actually rather shocked. The other things I wasn't shocked. I mean, he said a lot of things that I would take umbrage with, of course, but that genuinely shocked me. It really did. I mean, I thought he might I thought his position might have changed from when he was president. Like he might kind of soft pedal it by saying, well, I've always opposed default, but I understand why Speaker McCarthy is using this. We have to cut spending and perhaps it is appropriate after all to use it as a negotiating wedge. Maybe something like that. But no, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said, might as well default. We're going to default eventually anyway. Might as well do it now. Just do it. So just so you know, if you're currently on Social Security, that will if we do what Trump wants, and if we do what our elected lawgivers and overlords seem to have planned for us, Social Security, as we know it, is about to end. Anybody, by the way, who thinks I'm being hyperbolic about that or I'm being dramatic, I'm not. I'm not. If we default, it's over. Social Security's over. The military's over. They won't be getting paid anymore. And a lot of other things about the American economy are going to change in ways that will likely be far more severe than even the Great Recession, the economic crisis of 2008. It's going to be absolutely brutal. If you don't believe me, look up what economists are saying. See, we call it economic theory because there are many different kinds of economic theories, right? Like you've got Keynesian economists who tend to be more on the left, and you've got supply side economists who tend to be more on the right and support those kinds of policies, right? You've got libertarians, they like Austrian economics, but generally across the board, though, you will be hard pressed to find an economist of any stripe, of any economic philosophy or belief system, who will tell you that the United States actually defaulting on our debt for the first time in history will be a good thing. And you will be also hard pressed to find an economist anywhere who will tell you that it will not be catastrophic and that it will all just be fine and that maybe we'll have a bad day or maybe a bad week, but no big deal. And it's going to happen anyway. Let's just do it now. Screw it. If you can find me an economist who will say that, I will be shocked. But I was genuinely stunned. Like, he didn't even say, yeah, I think maybe it is appropriate to use this as a negotiating tactic. No, he didn't even say that. He just said, yeah, we should, he said, I don't know if it'll happen. I think the Democrats will cave, but yeah, we should. We probably should default. He literally said that. Anyone who didn't hear it, who's maybe you're a Trump supporter and you just hear me saying this and you go, no, Trump couldn't possibly have said that. I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not, I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. No, this is his position now. This is his position that we should actually default on our debt. So it's a fact. So that was shocking and disappointing. Also, he doubled down. Perhaps at this point, you could say he tripled down on his desire to, if he is elected president again, to begin pardoning the January 6th rioters, or I consider them insurrectionists and domestic terrorists, those who overran the Capitol. But no, he wants to pardon. He didn't say he would necessarily pardon every single one of them, because how did he put it? There might have been a couple who got a little out of control or something, but which I'm sure is, I'm sure those words will be great comfort to, to everyone in the Capitol Police Force who had to deal with that day. Yeah, a couple of them got out of control. Yes, but for the most part, yeah, go ahead, just pardon them. What did they really do wrong, right? So that was disappointing. I mean, that did not surprise me. And of course the E. Jean Carroll stuff, no grace whatsoever there. He just insulted her. And listen, I get that's what some people like about him. They like that he insults people, and that's so I mean, he certainly, all that stuff. Yeah, again, it helps him as far as winning the nomination, but I don't think it's going to help him in the general election. But it'll help him. It'll help him to win the nomination. I mean, I think like I say, I think he's already sealed it up. We haven't even had our first debate yet. Oh, apparently he's not participating in the debates, though, I believe. Now, there's a lot of criticism being leveled at CNN for even doing this, for even having this event. Mediaite says CNN's Oliver Darcy reports CEO Chris Licht and network are facing fury of criticism within the company after Trump town hall. So this isn't even only externally this is coming, but from within CNN, which I find very interesting. CNN senior media reporter Oliver Darcy revealed yesterday evening that CNN was, quote, facing a fury of criticism, unquote, within the company following its controversial town hall with former President Donald Trump. Darcy wrote in CNN's Reliable Sources newsletter, quote, it's hard to see how America was served by the spectacle of lies that aired on CNN Wednesday evening, unquote. While he praised the tough and, quote, tough and knowledgeable, unquote, CNN host Caitlin Collins for her attempts at fact-checking Trump's remarks, Darcy said Collins was given an impossible task and put in an uncomfortable position, given that the audience was comprised of Republicans who mostly applauded the former president and laughed at his comments. Oh, yeah, like they thought the E. Jean Carroll stuff, the things he said about her, they thought that was hilarious. They ate it up, you know, when he's sitting there insulting his accuser. But again, of course, you know, that's what some people like about him. They like his crudeness and his lack of grace. Makes him a man of the people. Scott Robinson says in the chat room, I remember when Bernie had his town hall on Fox, and all the Fox people are all up in arms about that, too. Yep, I remember that. Darcy wrote, noting that Trump staffers were reportedly delighted with the event, quote, and CNN aired it all. On and on it went. It felt like 2016 all over again. It was Trump's unhinged social media feed brought to life on stage, unquote. Darcy wrote that, quote, CNN and new network boss Chris Licht are facing a fury of criticism both internally and externally over the event. How Licht and the other CNN executives address the criticism in the coming days and weeks will be crucial. Will they defend what transpired at St. Anselm College, or will they express some regret? For now, CNN is defending itself, unquote. Well, it is a no-win situation, but again, I don't see how I will defend CNN on this for airing the event. What else? I mean, what else can you do? If you have an opportunity to do something like this with the front runner, he is the front runner for the Republican nomination. And listen, Caitlin Collins, of course, the way people react to her, it's all predictable. Some people who are, some people on the right are critical of her, saying, oh, she was trying to debate Trump and this and that. Caitlin Collins, I think she did the best that she could. You know, she was tough. And, but she, you know, here's the thing. You'll never hear me complain about a journalist pushing back on what a candidate is saying, whether it's Trump or anybody else. You know, even if it's somebody I happen to like. I always say this: you want an aggressive media. That's the media's job, or at least it should be, ideally, is to push back, to fact check, to challenge what someone is saying. That's part of the deal. Now, most people will tell you that they'll agree with that. And they'll say, well, yeah, you're right, Matt. Of course we want an aggressive media. Unfortunately, what most people mean when they say that is we want a media that's aggressive with the people we don't like. But we also want a media that is compliant and docile and shows deference to people we do like. That's what most people mean. I want to have a media that's aggressive with everybody, including Trump. And I thought Caitlin Collins did a good job pushing back and fact-checking. In a statement yesterday, a CNN spokesperson praised Collins for her role in the town hall saying, quote, "Tonight, Caitlin Collins exemplified what it means to be a world-class journalist. She was tough. She asked tough, fair, and revealing questions, and she followed up and fact-checked President Trump in real time to arm voters with critical information about his positions as he enters the 2024 election as the Republican frontrunner. That is CNN's role and responsibility to get answers and hold the powerful to account," unquote. Yeah, see, that's the thing, and that's why I think it was the right call to go ahead with this event. If you don't do that, then you have no opportunity to directly engage with the candidate and attempt to hold them accountable and to fact check them in real time. It says here, however, many politicos, journalists, and observers have criticized CNN for hosting Trump live on air and accused the network of losing control over the interview. Like I said, it was a stump speech, but in the form of, it was his usual stump speech, but in the form of having a journalist there. But what else could you do? Like I said, you can't, I don't think it would be the right call to ignore him and not let him on CNN. He is the front runner for the nomination. But, we are almost out of time. All right, here's what we're going to do. I think we'll play one more track from the Stone Road Band because, maybe I can find a Kevin Horan. If I can find a quick solo song of his. Maybe I'll play something from one of his solo albums. He's going to be performing live on Saturday night, rather, at the Hop Knot. It is Thursday, which means tonight, immediately following this program, we have Through the Stage Door, hosted by the great Rob Dion. And then don't forget to be back tomorrow, bright and early, 7 a.m. for the morning show with Peter White. I texted Peter earlier about something that came up on his show today that I thought was really funny. What's this song, Drift? Have I played this before? One of Kevin Horan's solo songs. But if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnarton.com. And tomorrow, of course, will be Friday. My long day here at WMNH. Not only will I be on this show, but of course, Retro Spectrum Radio with Pauly C. All right, so we'll leave you with this. This is a little acoustic number. This is Drift, performed by the great Kevin Horan. And that'll do it for us for now. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.